Erev Tov Rabotai, we're continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Kilayim. We're up to Perek Chet Mishna Aleph. The Mishnah now is going to summarize for us which activities are forbidden and which are permitted for each of the four types of Kilayim that is forbidden by the Torah, and the four types of Kilayim of the vineyard, Kilayim of seeds, Kilayim of garments, which we call shatnez, and Kilayim of the animals. Kilei Akerim, the first category, Kilayim of the vineyard. Asurim milizroa is forbidden for one to plant, umilil kayem, or to maintain, meaning a person is not allowed to plant kilayim of the vineyard, and he is not allowed to maintain kilayim in his vineyard, even if he didn't plant it. V'asuin bahana'a, and they are forbidden to derive benefit from, and the Mefarshim explain that kilayim of the vineyard have to be burned, a person cannot sell it or use it in any other way, he for sure cannot eat it. The next type of kilayim is kilei zra'im, kilayim of seeds. Asurim milizro milkayem, it is forbidden for one to plant or to maintain in one's field. Utarin ba'achila, but it is permitted for one to eat it. The kolshkin ba'ana'ah, and certainly if you could eat it, you could derive other forms of benefit from it. And the Mefarshim explain, an example is a Jew can buy from a non-Jew a plant that is a product of kilayim and use it in any way. The next type, kilei begadim utarin b'chol davar, kilayim of garments, meaning clothes made from a mixture of wool and linen, commonly known as shatnez, is permitted in every single way, meaning a person can make such clothes, a person can keep such clothes, he can derive benefit from them, meaning a person can sell clothes that are shatnez, the Rambam tells us. But it is only prohibited to wear them, which we'll discuss more at length in the last chapter. The next type of kilayim is kilei behema, kilayim of animals, meaning different species of animals that cannot be crossbred. And the Mefarshim explain kilayim of animals has two prohibitions in it. Number one, a person cannot mate different types of animals, and you cannot work with a team consisting of different types of animals. Our Mishnah is discussing mating different types of animals. The second prohibition against working with different types of animals is going to be discussed later on. But right now we're talking about mating, crossbreeding different types of animals. So kilei behema, kilayim of animals, mutarin legadel, you are permitted to raise them, meaning a person can raise two types of animals together in the same pen. And the Rav explains, even though it may cause them to mate on their own. Now, the Mefarshim tell us, even if one does see them mating on their own, he doesn't have to separate them. That's what the Rambam tells us. Ulikayem, he may maintain them if they mate on their own. And the Mefarshim explain, even if a hybrid offspring is born from them, the offspring can be raised and used. It is only forbidden to manually mate them. The Mishnah adds another halakha b'kilayim of animals, kilei behema asurim zeh bazeh. Animals born from different combinations of kilayim are forbidden to be mated with each other. And the Mefarshim explain, kilei behema literally means kilayim of animals. We're using it differently here than earlier in the Mishnah. Why? Because previously we translated kilei behema as animals of different types which cannot be crossbred. Here we're going to use the same term, but we're referring to animals that were born from a union of kilayim already. So kilei behema, animals that were already born from a different combination of kilayim, of forbidden animals, are forbidden to be mated with each other. And the Mefarshim explain what's an example. And for example, a mule is the offspring of a horse that bred with a donkey. A mule whose father is a horse and whose mother is a donkey cannot be mated with a mule whose father is a donkey and whose mother is a horse, even though they are both mules. Only two animals that come from the same combination can be mated. And the Mefarshim explain, we determine the status of an animal by its mother and not by its father. Meaning, the mule whose mother is a horse is considered a different kind of animal than a mule whose mother is a donkey. And the Mefarshim will explain it more at length later on. Now, Rabotai, that is the end of Mishnah Aleph. Mishnah Bet is just as introduction. The rest of the perek is going to be discussing kilayim of the animals. Now, Rabotai, like we said, the Torah prohibits two types of kilayim of animals. Number one, you cannot crossbreed two different types of animals. And number two, working with a team that consists of two types of animals is also asur. Now, since we already spoke about in the previous Mishnah some laws about crossbreeding animals, the Mishnah now is going to describe which animals cannot be worked together. Behema and behema, a person is not allowed to work one type of domestic animal with another type of domestic animal, meaning a sheep and a goat with a goat. V'chaya chaya, he is not allowed to work one type of wild animal with another type of wild animal, meaning a deer with an elephant. Behema chaya, a male domestic animal with a female wild animal, meaning a sheep with a deer. Now, even though the Mishnah is explaining here and mentioning different combinations of male and female, it is forbidden to work with two different types of animals, even if they are born from the same gender. The Mishnah is not being specific by stating two different genders. So we said Be'ema Chaya, a male domestic animal with a female wild animal, for example, a sheep with a deer. V'Chayim Be'ema, a male wild animal with a female domestic animal. Tme'im Tme'ah, one type of non-kosher animal with another type of non-kosher animal, for example, a horse with a donkey. Ute'oraim Te'orah, one type of kosher animal with another type of kosher animal, for example, a sheep with a cow. Tme'im Te'orah, a male non-kosher animal with a female kosher animal, for example, a donkey with a sheep. Uteoraim Tme'ah, or a male kosher animal with a female non-kosher animal. Asurin lacharosh v'nimshoch ulanhig. All these animals, it is forbidden for a person to plow with any of these pair of animals, or to pull them, or to lead them together to perform any kind of work. And the Mefarshim explain, an example is to have two of these animals draw a wagon together. When we say pulling, we're referring to drawing an animal from the front with a leash. Leading is causing it to move by hitting it from behind. Any of these examples would be asur, meaning, in short, to summarize, it is asur to do any kind of work using any two different types of animals. And the Mefarshim explain, even though the Torah only prohibits working different species together with the statement, the pasuk says, you shall not plow with the ox and a donkey together, right? What does the Torah say? You're not allowed you're not allowed to plow with an ox and a donkey together. The Mefarshim tell us that this issue applies to any two different types of species doing any kind of work together, and the two includes that it even applies to birds and sea creatures. We will continue at length regarding this topic tomorrow. That is the end of today's Mishnah. Rabotai, Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen v'Amen.